Welcome to Reiki Rising, your sacred space for energy healing, mindfulness, and transformation. I'm Raven Waterblossom, a Reiki practitioner, teacher, yoga instructor, and intuitive guide. And I'm here to support you in reconnecting with your inner light and aligning with your essence. In each episode, we'll talk about the power of Reiki and its ability to shift energy, release blockages, and promote inner healing. We'll also explore insights from a new offering, Dharma Healing, Reiki and Mindfulness for Recovery, bringing together a fusion of Reiki practices and mindfulness designed to help break free from the habit energies that no longer serve us, offering a path to recovery, renewal, and peace. Whether you're just beginning your journey or looking to deepen your practice, this is your space to heal and thrive. Let's begin. Hello friends, and welcome back to Reiki Rising. I am your host, Raven, and your guide on this journey into the realms of energy, healing, and intuition. Today we're going to be talking about pendulums and Reiki, exploring not just how they work, but how they can enhance our Reiki practice. So I'll be talking about the history behind pendulums and their role in energy healing. I talk a little bit about how they're used in divination, and we'll also talk about Venus being in retrograde and how this period invites us to deepen our inner listening and really is a time of self-reflection and how we can use pendulums to connect with our intuition, which is a big part of this energy right now. So let's go ahead and get started. So talking about pendulums, this is something that I started using in the beginning of my practice, and I found it really helpful to just kind of learn to trust my intuitive feedback in sessions and with myself. I used them before I got attuned to Reiki and learned how to facilitate Reiki, but that was more for the practice of divination. So I'll be talking a little bit about that as well. And if you are unfamiliar with what a pendulum is, it's a simple tool that can be used to tap into our intuition. Typically, it's a weighted object, often made from a crystal, metal, or wood. I have a couple of different variations and I kind of use different ones for different things. It's really a preference and whatever you're called to and drawn to when you find one. So it's usually suspended from a chain or a cord, and when held steady, it responds to the subtle energy shifts. This could look like it swinging in a circle or back and forth. This is really a way for us to see visually a translation of our inner knowing, our energetic knowing within us, our intuition. Throughout history, pendulums really have been like tools for divination or decision making. They have been used in energy healing, and they really help practitioners in a session access guidance from their subconscious and from universal energy, which is what we're working with in Reiki. So the use of pendulums is not really defined by one culture. There are many cultures and many different eras that have used these types of tools. So anywhere from ancient Egypt and Greece, where they were used for divination and healing purposes, they were seen as really kind of a conduit to the divine energy and guidance. So an instrument for unlocking that divine hidden knowledge. In medieval times, they were also used in early forms of energy healing as they began to kind of understand the chakra system and the aura of the human body. So that kind of really is the origin of it. And in more recent times, in like the 20th century, holistic healers and intuitive practitioners kind of brought that practice back, at least in the area of energy healing or energy medicine. It was also a form of dowsing. If you've ever seen dowsing rods, those can be used as well. And even in everyday decision making or just connecting with your subconscious. Sometimes, we leave something somewhere and we can't find it. You may pick up a pendulum to help you kind of retrace your steps and access where that might be. So the history is really not about the reliability, but it is an evolution as it bridges between this ancient practice into modern practices. So just wanted to give you some kind of background there. So you may be asking how they work. So they work with subtle energy. They operate on the principle that our subconscious mind and the subtle energies around us are in constant dialogue and communication. So when you ask a question or when you set an intention, the pendulum responds by moving in a certain direction. This isn't a random motion. It's actually communication between your inner self, your intuition or subconscious, and the energetic field that is surrounding you. So you'll want to take a couple of steps when you first start this practice by calibrating first your pendulum. So the answers and movements are going to be connected in different ways for every person. There's a little bit of a learning curve, I will say, just kind of like feeling into if a pendulum is right for you. Maybe you don't connect with a certain one, but when you find the one that does work for you, you can hold it steady and just ask, show me a yes, and then observe if it swings forward or backward or in some type of circular motion, and then try to ask what shows a no. And if the movement shifts, that might be your kind of yes and no movement. So neutral movement sometimes is displayed by like no response at all, or maybe there's kind of a movement between the two or a gentle motion. So establishing these responses is really personal, and it helps you to create that communication system that can be used for a wider range of questions related to energy, healing, and intuitive guidance. So I recommend starting with questions like when you're first learning to use a pendulum or you first start working with a pendulum. To ask questions to get a definitive answer and know what that, you can say, show me a yes or show me a no, and then double check that. Check it with, is my name Raven? Your name, obviously. And see how the pendulum and how the energy responds. And then ask a definitive no question, something the answer is no to, and see how that responds. And just begin to kind of build that relationship. Like anything, it takes practice to feel comfortable, practice to trust. But this is really a tool that can help with connecting with your intuition and really trusting that intuitive connection. They've been really valued in energy healing because they are able to really, using this tool, you can scan and balance subtle energy systems of the body. So in Reiki sessions, they serve as kind of an intuitive instrument to identify areas of energy imbalance or blockage within the energy centers, within the chakras. So a practitioner of Reiki is either for yourself or for a session for someone else. You may use a pendulum to scan the energy centers by slowly moving the pendulum over each energy center. And often a steady circular movement may indicate a harmonious energy flow, but an erratic movement or weak motion could reveal a possible energy blockage. I like to use them sometimes before, during, or after a session, so to gauge the energy flow, to kind of get a baseline of when the client arrives, using the pendulum to sense the client's energy field, and then tailoring the Reiki session to what feedback I receive. And then afterwards going through again and noticing if there was a shift in those energetic fields, which often there is. Another way to use the pendulum is to think of it as a tool for decision making, using your intuition. So beyond the physical aspect of energy scanning, pendulums can help deepen intuitive insight. So if you're a practitioner, using this in a way with the client to engage in a meditative dialogue with their inner wisdom and enhancing the experience by bringing this tool in. They're not really just for energy healing, but they've also been used for divination. So divination, if you are unfamiliar, is the art of gaining insight into questions or situations through intuitive means. So they can be used, as I mentioned, for decision making. So you can use your pendulum to help navigate choices in your daily life. You can ask yes or no questions about decisions, from anything mundane to something more specific. What should I have for lunch, or should I quit my job? Something along those lines. And it really is a tool for you to check in with your intuition and just let that movement kind of guide you into a space of deeper reflection. Some people use pendulums even to access insights about past experiences or current circumstances, or maybe a future outcome that you're curious about. The future is not set in stone. The pendulum can just kind of offer us a perspective that may illuminate a path forward for us. So it may be, a specific question that you're asking about some decision that you're trying to make. Or it could be, exploring a situation from the past or in the future, and using the energy or the guidance from the subtle energies with the pendulum to give you some insight to what the next steps might be. Again, the movement is really symbolical, like it's something that's going to be unique to you. And really just kind of trust. If you see like a steady swing, this might be something really stable, while something that's really erratic or just kind of all over the place might suggest a change or the need to release or reassess something in your life. You can also use pendulums to connect with your spirit guides, or connect with energetics beyond the veil as well. So many intuitive practitioners believe that this tool can help us bridge the gap between the physical and spiritual realms. You can ask for guidance from guides, from angels, ancestors, and deepen your connection to this wisdom, universal wisdom. So it's something that that's where I started using a pendulum before I was attuned to Reiki, was just to connect with spirit energy, to connect with my intuition, and to connect with other realms that exist. Then when I became attuned to Reiki, I started using them really to just form that connection, because when you're first attuned to Reiki, for a bit, it might feel like you don't know what you're doing, or that you're making it up as you go. But the more that you practice, the more that kind of fades away and you learn to trust your intuition. So if you're using a pendulum in a Reiki session, it really offers this extra layer of intuitive insight. So like I had mentioned previously, I initially will start sometimes, or did previously more frequently, by holding the pendulum over the client's energy centers to just kind of gain an overall sense of their energetic state. And then you can ask specific questions over each one, like, does this chakra need balancing? Is there a block here? And you want them to be yes or no questions so that you can get a clear answer. And again, you might get that in between answer, but just observe the pendulum's response to whatever you're asking in the session. And then again, post-session, just looking at how the shifts or how the movement of the pendulum has changed in those areas where we were looking for improvement in the energy flow. And that's really one of those ways that we can confirm the effectiveness of the session. If you're struggling to find confirmation within your own knowing that this works, this might be a tool to kind of help bring that into a tangible sense of the effectiveness of the sessions. So that's just a couple of ways that you can use it. For your personal practice, it can be a really great companion. Again, just scanning through before you start your self-Reiki practice, asking the pendulum which areas of your energy might benefit from more focused healing, and holding the pendulum over those spaces in front of you. And then after your session, of course, using it to identify any residual imbalances or any places that you need to further refine your self-care or your healing process, or maybe where you want to look energetically at what stories are coming up there and uncover a little bit more. So I'd like to share just a guided practice for you for connecting with your intuition. So just take a moment to gather your supplies if you have a pendulum. If you don't, maybe you have, just as practice here, if you have like a necklace with a heavier pendant on it, or you could put even a ring or something on a string, just to practice here if you don't have a pendulum already. So once you have all of your supplies ready, which is just you, yourself, and your pendulum, take a moment to find a comfortable, quiet area where you can sit undisturbed. And then take a few deep breaths. Just breathing gently in through the nose. And exhaling through the mouth. Just allow your body to relax and your mind to settle. And then take your pendulum, your dominant hand will hold the string or the chain that is connected to your pendulum. And sometimes you may want to just place another hand underneath it. Or if you are scanning through energy centers, then you would just hold it above those spaces. But as we get started here, just kind of tuning into this, however feels comfortable for you. So letting that pendulum just come to complete stillness, holding it there in your dominant hand, let it dangle freely. And if you need to support your arm on a table for stability, feel free to do so. And then just close your eyes, take another breath, and just affirm to yourself, I open myself to clear divine guidance from my higher self. I open myself to clear divine guidance from my higher self. Just setting an intention here, opening that connection, And then to calibrate your pendulum, just ask simply, show me a yes. Note the movement, and then show me a no. And just notice the movements, how they're different. And you can repeat this if you'd like. And then maybe ask a reflective question, like which energy center requires my attention today? And then slowly move the pendulum over your body's energy centers. Maybe starting at the root and working your way up through the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart space, and the throat, and the third eye as you connect with your intuitive insight, and your crown, and just observe its response. Just notice how it moves, and trust that knowing that the movement that you are noticing is what is guiding you to move forward. So if you notice it swinging strong in one area, does your intuition tell you that area is balanced, or that that's the yes and that's the space that needs to be focused on? Maybe you notice that it doesn't move in one area and that is where it's blocked. So really set that communication with your intuition and with this tool as you use it to figure out what feels right to you, because it's specific to you. And then when you're done, just taking a moment of gratitude and just thanking the inner guidance and the insights that were shared. And you can also take notes, just jotting down anything that you noticed during your pendulum session, and then going back through and doing that self-Reiki practice, or whatever you feel called to do in those areas. The last thing that I want to talk about is Venus retrograde. This is a call to your intuition. So we are experiencing a Venus retrograde, which is a celestial event that encourages us to really turn inward and re-examine our relationships, our values, and personal narratives. If you are unfamiliar with the planet of Venus and its energy, it's the planet of love, beauty, and harmony. And it really, when it goes into retrograde, we're not looking to rush and jump into something or take action, but this is a time for us to reflect on those areas of our life. And so this is where our intuition comes in. So during this retrograde, pendulums can be really valuable. So they can remind us to trust our inner wisdom rather than relying on external cues. So if you're working with a pendulum during Venus retrograde, specifically to tune into this energy, you may ask questions like, what aspects of my relationships need reevaluation? How can I better align my values with my actions? What story am I ready to rewrite in my life? These questions, combined with the guidance from your pendulum, might help you navigate some of this introspective energy of Venus retrograde. So hopefully in doing so, and just taking some time with this energy in this next month, it'll help you kind of foster this mindful approach to healing and personal growth. Pendulums really are just their tool. The energy is there. This is a tool for you to focus that energy and to learn to trust your intuitive feedback. Soon you'll learn to feel what is going to happen with the pendulum before it happens. So you learn that kind of inner cue, or the sensations that arise when it's a yes or a no. And that's what really kind of anchors in this intuitive feedback within you. So whether you're using them for divination or energy scanning or as a companion in your sessions, really think of this as a tool to empower you to access your inner guidance and to trust the wisdom that lies within you. I encourage you to experiment with your pendulum, observe its responses, and see how it deepens your connection to both your own energy and your intuition. I would love for you to join us in the Reiki Rising community on Substack and share your experiences with the community. I'd love to create more of a dialogue, not just on this, but on other topics as well. I will be posting in our Reiki Rising Substack a ritual for this new moon and our Venus retrograde energy, but this is a new moon in Pisces, which is just a beautiful time for us to really clear the path of manifestation, to really, we've let go of so much with this full moon. I don't know if you've been feeling it, but I've been feeling it. All these blocks, we've been clearing everything away, and now it's just this beautiful, loving energy that is guiding us forward. So plant those seeds. We're just before spring equinox coming up in a couple of weeks. It is time to start thinking about manifesting for this new season of you. I love this time of year, the in-betweens. It's just so magical. There's so much fertile ground and just openness and space of curiosity. So anyway, join me in the Substack group. I would love to see you there, meet you there, and check out the ritual. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of pendulums and energy healing and divination, and reflecting on the energy of Venus retrograde. Until next time, trust in your inner wisdom and let your intuition lead the way. Don't go anywhere just yet. Thank you so much for listening to the Reiki Rising podcast. If you would like to consider working with me one-on-one on your journey, either through Reiki or coaching or yoga, I do offer several different offerings to connect. You can book a free consultation with me through Zoom or through a phone call. You can find that link in the show notes, as well as a link to all the upcoming events, most of which are offered in person and online. We have a couple of exciting opportunities that are new this coming month. The first being that in addition to our Dharma healing practice, our Reiki and Mindfulness for Recovery that will be happening Thursday, I'll be recording the episode for that. We are shifting into the Reiki principle just for today. I will be grateful. So focusing on gratitude this month in our Dharma healing and our yoga practices. And in addition to that offering and our regular weekly yoga classes, I'm also now offering a Sunday meditation class that is a virtual only. So you can join us online on Zoom from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. And it's the first and third Sunday of every month. It's called the Soul's Retreat, and I'll be linking that there as well. If you do currently have our unlimited yoga pass, this is included in that, so you will be able to join us without an additional donation. So if you are curious about any of these offerings, check out the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to share it with someone who you think would enjoy it as well, please do. Please give us a rating or comments in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.